Hey there, how's it going, everybody? Joel here with Manchester News. It's about just past 7:30 here on Thursday, 11:30 here in Canada. Just getting ready to chat Man City again. Big win yesterday for Manchester City, coming from behind to beat Borussia Dortmund 2-1. So we are gonna break that down with Steve from the Big Six podcast as soon as he gets set to join us here in a minute or two. We'll just wait to see him on here, and then I will let him join. We'll talk about Man City's win against Chelsea. We'll do a quick little preview about their upcoming Champions League semifinal. Only the second time they've ever made it to the semifinal of the Champions League, with PSG on the horizon coming up soon. So we're going to break all that stuff down shortly. I see Steve is in here now, so let me bring Steve in, and then we'll get this underway. Just a second.
Yes, mate. All right.
Hey, how's it going, Steve?
Good, man. Good. Very happy.
I can understand. Let's start right there then. First of all, let me give you your take on Man City's performance over two legs, getting past Borussia Dortmund.
Yeah, it was both games were really, really entertaining. I thought they were quite fast games, played at a fast pace. City was a lot more controlled. I'd say that's the word, controlled. And I think we got the job done. And yeah, it was impressive over two legs. You know what I mean? People say Borussia Dortmund, they're not the greatest team in Germany. They're not. But when you get to a quarter-final of a Champions League, teams like that, they play out the skin. You know what I mean? They got a lot of young players, as you've seen with Jude Bellingham. He excelled himself. He was fantastic. But credit to Man City, we got the job done. Credit to Phil Foden. He was great in both legs. Respect to the defence for keeping Haaland quiet over two legs, which not many people can do. So overall, it was a great performance. The way we approached it. Pep was getting a lot of criticism last year for the Leon thing, overthinking it. And yeah, we're in the semi-final, so fair play. We just got to get past Paris now and get to that big one.
So we're going to touch on a few of the topics that you just mentioned, but I want to talk maybe first about, we saw when the Foden goal went in, the kind of elation on the City bench. We saw Pep Guardiola really getting excited, which we don't always see in those sets of circumstances. Is this more of a sense of relief that they finally got through to this, or is there a sense of like general excitement as well that they're actually like in the Final Four? Is it more just like, thank God we got through this?
I just think it was, it was great to see a young Mancunian lad scored a goal, and he was obviously happy. So he's run to his manager. The manager's embraced it. The team's embraced it. It's great to see. I mean, there's a good atmosphere. We spoke about it on here before, that Manchester City is a great place to play football. And you can see with the atmosphere around the team and around the bench. And I think it shows a bit of passion. And without the fans being there, it's nice to see. As a City fan, it's nice to see that.
Now, one thing about yesterday's game, obviously there was a lot of pressure on Man City. They had a 2-1 lead going into that leg. They knew that they probably would need at least a goal, like you talked about last time around. They seem to start off, in my opinion, and I agree with Pep in this when he did his post-game interview afterwards, about how it took Man City probably, I'd say, between 10 to 15 minutes to get into the game. Were they just too complacent early on, knowing the moment and just trying to hold on? Or what went on in the first 10 minutes that was kind of not really what we're used to seeing from City?
I just think it can be down to nerves. Obviously, Borussia Dortmund only had to win 1-0, and then they're through. So I think it's the nerves. I think the players are just finding the feet. We were keeping the ball well, but then we got a bit sloppy and they scored. But we didn't panic. We kept to the tempo, and we dictated the tempo. And you always knew that Dortmund would slow down because they couldn't keep up with that tempo for 90 minutes. And eventually, you started to see the chances come in. The gaps was opening up. The one-touch football we were playing around the pitch was amazing. and yeah, we just broke them down in the end. I don't think there's many teams that are going to be able to cope, and I think the Paris team and the game will be totally different again.
Well, you talked about sloppy. Obviously, that's not a term that we usually associate with a lot of Man City players, especially in the second half of the season since 2021 has come around. One of the players that kind of stood out to me who was really sloppy in the first 10 to 15 minutes, even like most of the first half, was Zinchenko for Man City. Why did Guardiola get play the wrong person at fullback for this game, given the magnitude of this game and given how little Zinchenko has played in big games this season?
No, I think I was on Saeed TV the other day, and we did a 11, and I picked Zinchenko at left back. I just think he's not as gung ho as Cancelo or Mendes, so you're not going to get caught on the counter attack. So he's steady at left back. He does his job without any fuss. Yeah, he does give the ball away. Yeah, he does scare you a little bit. I admit that, and I think a lot of City fans will admit that. But when you actually look at him overall, he did a good job. He did a good job, and it's just one of them things. I think if we're going to absolutely attack teams, he's going to play Cancelo, and we're going to bomb him. We're going to just try and blow teams away. But when you've got that risk of going down 1-0 and then them defending and you losing 1-0 and being out, it makes sense for just keep it steady, nothing stupid. And like I said on the Saeed channel, I picked my team and I kept Foden on my team. I kept him on the bench. That wasn't because I think he deserves to be on the bench. I just kept him because I thought, have a few options on your bench. If the game's not going your way, you've got them options to bring on and change the whole game. But obviously, he started him, and the rest is history.
Now, before the second half, I'm sure there was a lot of anxious people. I don't know if you were one of them over watching the game yesterday in City, but there was obviously a lot of anxiety in City in the first half. They're trailing 1-0 after 15 minutes of play. De Bruyne hits the crossbar. Zinchenko comes close. Bellingham clears off the line in the first half. Was there ever a point in the first half with City trailing and City starting to come into the game but still missing opportunities where you thought, okay, maybe this could be just a case of this just might not be their day today? Because they had some high-quality chances after they went behind.
No, to be honest, I've watched City for long enough, and when I get that feeling, I get it in my chest, and I know it in my mind. It's just a Man City thing where I think it's not going to be our day. But when you look at the quality that was on the pitch and you look at the way Dortmund were working hard, we were making them work hard, you just knew they couldn't keep that energy up. I knew it. And I knew we was going to get chances. And then, obviously, when we got the penalty and Riyad stepped up, I was more nervous when Riyad stepped up because I can't get the Liverpool penalty miss out of my head. So, but yeah, fair play to him. He buried it. And, yeah, man, we went on and won it.
So that was going to be my next point, was to talk about the penalty decision, which was obviously a game changer, whether it was the right decision or not. We talked last week about how the referees seemed to get that penalty right when they reversed it through the VAR in the first leg. Did the refs and VAR get the decision right with this handball by Emre Can?
I mean, I've seen an angle from the front, from the view of the player who crossed it, and it looks like he got his head to it first and then onto his arm. Then I've seen another angle today from behind, and it looks like it just skims his head and then sort of hits his arm and his head at the same time. But obviously it was a difficult call because it took a lot of time for him to make the decision. With that one, I think it could have gone 50-50. So I'm not even going to complain about it. I'm just taking it.
Yeah, and you know what? I think just the way rules like that are written now, it's not so much like it was 20, 30 years ago when it was only written down from what I recall of like, if it's deliberate or not deliberate, which could mean a whole lot of things, because how many people deliberately try to handle the ball? There's so many, I mean, there's not, how many Luis Suarez handballs do we see go on? You know what I mean?
No.
So the other thing is, like, it was in a bit of an awkward position. It's a position where you wouldn't necessarily think a player's hand would be. So in that sense, I'm keen to lean towards that way, but it's, I mean, in either event, I think, yeah, go ahead.
It his arm was in an unnatural position. If you're heading
Mm-hmm.
the ball clear, there's no need for your arm to be outstretched in the line of where you're going to head it away. So, yeah, I don't know what he was playing at there. So that's what's caused the confusion. If a ball flicks up off your leg and hits your arm and then you clear it, then yeah, it's an accident. It's ricocheted off your arm. But there's no need for you to stoop that low and have your arm out to head it. You just head it clear,
Mm-hmm.
simple as. So that's what's done him, I think.
Absolutely. Well, you talked about the penalty situation. I think if there's one aspect, and I don't think it's something that you can necessarily like teach even guys at this age, it is like stepping up to be able to take a penalty. If there's one aspect of Man City's game that has lacked this season, it's probably their ability to take penalties. But that's just sort of a question of nerves. That's not really something you can teach. Sterling's missed a penalty this season. De Bruyne has missed a penalty this season. Gundogan was trying to kick a field goal, or like shout out to the Super Bowl that weekend against Liverpool. I don't know what he was thinking with that penalty kick that he took. So Mars takes up and takes his first penalty kick of the season. Did you foresee Mahrez being one of the potential takers in that clutch situation?
No, not at all. Not after Anfield. Not after Anfield. He doesn't fill me when it comes to penalties. He doesn't fill me with confidence. He's so much of a he's so much of a 50-50 player. I call him. You can get a world class world beater one game. You could. Can you see me? Yeah, sorry. You can get a world class world beater one game, and then you can get somebody who looks like he's shot on confidence the next. But look, if he's got the guts to grab the ball and say, give it me, then fair play. And he tucked it away. And you could see the relief on his face. I think something mentally lifted from his shoulders yesterday after that penalty.
How much would your heart have skipped? How many beats would your heart have skipped if it was Ederson stepping up? We've had a lot of talk about Ederson potentially like taking a penalty. It was kind of a joke for a little while, but then there was also like, there was a certain element of seriousnness, I feel, to it when that headline story came out. If it's Ederson that steps up, how nervous are you?
Do you know what? Let him take it. I'd be less nervous of Ederson taking it than Mahrez, because Ederson, you can see where he can pass. You can see his range of passing. So I've got no qualms with Ederson stepping up and placing that anywhere. I think maybe let him do it. Last game of the season, if everything's in the bag and we're all happy and we get a penalty, give it him.
What if it's in the chat? Let's say next round goes to penalties, or the Champions League final goes to penalties, and the City need one kick to win it. If Ederson steps up, are you confident?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, okay. The guy just seems confident. The guy's under pressure all the time. He gets the ball at his feet. His striker's running at him. He plays little passes, little turns. Yeah, man, I think he'd love it, Ederson, as well. I think he wouldn't even. He's got ice running through his veins, man. I think he'd bury it.
Yeah, and that's the other thing I was going to mention too is sometimes you need to like there's guys who are just naturally good at taking penalties. And then there's, I think, something to be said about the position you play and the amount of thought, because the one thing you want when you're stepping up to take a penalty is you don't want to think about it. You just want to like, don't look at the keeper. You just get the ball, pick your spot, and then nail it. And so I guess if you look at it in that sense, Ederson could be an ideal choice because, there's no pressure, first off, on goalkeepers when they're facing a penalty kick. So they don't have that sort of the amount of time to think about it that a midfielder does and to have to break down so many different plays. Is that a reason why Ederson may be a good penalty taker?
Yeah, it is what it is. I just think he's confident. He's a confident guy, and I just think he'd love it. And but I think if he started doing that Pep with Ederson, it'd be the disrespect and all. They should come into it, and it's just. I just don't think he'll ever get him to take a penalty, but it'd be fun.
Absolutely. So Pep Guardiola talked before this leg about how he realizes if they don't get past the last 8, it could be considered a failure. It seems like Pep Guardiola, in a lot of his Champions League press conferences that I've seen, has been putting a lot of heat on himself. At the start of the Champions League campaign, he talked about that he's been failing Manchester City. He's been talking a lot about himself and not being able to take City to the next level. Is he doing these things this season to take some pressure off of the players himself? Because there's enough pressure and heat on Man City. Is he doing this to put the heat on himself so his players can play more relaxed in these games?
Yeah, 100%. I think he can smell blood, and I think he knows it's close, and I think he's just taking all the barrage off the players. Let him take the flak. If he doesn't win it, it's Pep's fault. Even if he wins it, they'll find fault in him somewhere. They always do. If he wins the Premier League, he didn't win it back-to-back. He won it back-to-back, then he won every trophy in English football, never been done in English football. You haven't won the Champions League. He's done a Centurion season. He's done a lot for Manchester City Football Club. He's done a lot in this country. He don't get the respect. But do you know what? I don't think he cares. As long as the Manchester City fans want him, and as long as the club want him, I think Pep Guardiola's happy. And look, if he wins the Champions League, there'll be no one more happier than me. And then they'll make something else up. He hasn't won the Golden Boot. He hasn't won the top goalie. You know, it's just nonsense, rival fan nonsense. Mm-hmm. But when you're a football man and you appreciate football and you appreciate good managers, good players, you've got to take a step back and look at Pep Guardiola and say, when is his time in England, will it go down in history as one of the best? And it will do. No matter if you're a Man United fan, Liverpool, you'll always say Pep Guardiola has affected you somewhere. And a lot of teams now in the Premier League are trying to copy Pep's philosophies and stuff. So when they're doing that, it's obvious you're doing something right.
Yeah, and you know, there's an analogy over here in North America for journalists who cover hockey, journalists who cover American football and so on, that coaches are hired to be fired, essentially. And I think the same kind of ideals come into a football manager as well, is that it's just something you sign up for when you decide you want to be a football manager. You're going to take a lot of heat and you're going to take the fall in a lot of situations. It's just the way it is. Another interesting thing about, I just want to get on one little quick thing about Pep Guardiola before we move on here. There was I forget the article, but there was something written about him just a couple of days ago about how he tends to, it seems crazy just given his resume, what he's accomplished as a manager, but has Pep Guardiola ever overthought his tactics for big knockout matches? Because that was the knock heading into this second leg of this quarterfinal, was maybe Pep thinks too much about his tactics and City suffer because of that.
Yeah, he done it. He done it last year against Leon. He overthought it. He's done it a few times. I mean, against Leeds at weekend, you could say he rested too many players. But then we beat Borussia Dortmund, we're in the semi-final. So would you take that? If someone said to you, look, you're going to lose to Leeds and your points are going to drop from 14 to 11, but you're going to get through to the semi-final, you're taking that all day long. So, yeah, he makes some strange decisions every now and then, but every manager does. And at the end of the day, who are we to argue with him? Every season he's delivering trophies. We're playing the best football we've ever played. We're watching the best players we've ever seen. So Pep Guardiola at Manchester City, there's no pressure on him from us. You know what I mean? He's a god. The guy can do anything he wants.
And as far as I know, he's won with Barcelona, Bayern Munich, as well as Manchester City. I think he's won somewhere in the ballpark of over 75% of the games that he's been involved in. That's like including all competitions in Spain, all competitions in Germany, all competitions in England. So that alone kind of speaks for itself, in addition to the fact that he's been able to get the job done and deliver trophies on a seasonal basis. So that kind of right then and there, you just have to look at that repertoire and say, okay, like give Guardiola the benefit of the doubt with this.
100%.
So you mentioned you touched briefly about the defeat against Leeds. One thing I remember from last weekend, Gundogan talked about how this is kind of can be sort of a blessing in disguise, and we've talked about this in the past. Man City seems to time their defeats or their setbacks in a very good way this season. It's obviously, you always want to win, but that defeat against Leeds United, did that sort of come at a very opportune time, knowing what was on the horizon for Manchester City the following week?
Yeah, maybe it took a little bit of pressure off us as well. Maybe everyone was talking about maybe we're going to slip up in the league, Man United's going to come back into it and all that nonsense. And then before we knew it, bang, we got Dortmund. So, but look, the proof's in the pudding. They played all the big guns last night. Excuse me. Oh, it was one of them days. And
Are you
Yeah,
still partying from yesterday? Is that why? Are
I
you
hope
are you
so.
hungover? No.
I don't drink anymore, so I've been on the
Okay.
orange. But no, it was. Yeah, I think the Leeds game was just a freak. We've been changing the team. It upset the Riven. You seen last night the way we played. You seen last night the way we kept the ball, one touch football. If we'd have played that team against Leeds, no disrespect to Leeds, but we'd have buried Leeds. But we might not have been as fresh for yesterday.
True. Well, we'll blame it on the Dortmund fans for laying off those fireworks right next to cities.
Yeah, it's the European thing. That I've been to a few
I know.
away
Yeah.
in Europe, and that's happened before. But fair play to him. Look, if they can gain a small advantage like that, you never know, dear. If it just upsets one player, puts him off his game, it is what it is. But yeah, fair play to him.
Yeah, that's just something you have to expect. I feel like nowadays with footballing fans that they're going to do everything they can. It's a religion for a reason over there, and people take that more seriously than they should. But that is the way it is.
100%.
So another thing, I just want to touch upon one more thing before we move on to who Man City is going to be facing in the next stage in the Champions League. Erling Haaland really was kind of, I wouldn't say completely invisible. He helped sort of set up the goal from Bellingham with some nice work. But on the other hand, seemed to be very well contained. He hasn't scored now in his last 7 games for club or country. Do you think the hype of Erling Haaland being the most sought after player coming up this summer, is the hype getting to him?
It could be. It could be. It does happen with young players when they get a lot of hype around them. The pressure increases. It's like a boiling pot, and it can reach the maximum, and the player can get a bit of burnout. But he has come up against a couple of good defenders in City's defence the last few games. So let's see. Haaland's just unreal. We know it's there in the locker. Every big player has them little periods. It's how you bounce back from, and he's only very, very young. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll bounce back.
So my last question then concerning Haaland is, has his performance over the last 2 legs against City changed your thoughts or opinions about him potentially signing with Man City over the summer, or would you still be more than thrilled to have him on board?
Yeah, more than happy. I mean, you take him out of that team and put him in our team with the chances we create, he's scoring all the time, 100%. So I don't think there's a team in the world that wouldn't have him. You know what I mean? And yeah, my opinion's not changed. He's still good. You can still see glimpses, little touches here and there, laying off the ball, his movement. Yeah, he's got it all. And I think in our team, he's made for us.
Now that one hurdle is cleared, the deeper along you get into tournaments like this, the bigger the challenge comes. Next is going to be another especially difficult challenge facing PSG. I want to touch upon, this morning when I woke up over here in Canada, I do like to do a little search to see what's going on with Man City on a daily basis. And the first thing that came up was an article in The Guardian talking about how this semifinal, Man City and PSG, is sort of the dark tales of fairy tales because of the budgets, because these two teams are being run by royal families. They talked about it as being sports washing is the term that they used for this. Are you worried that terms and criticisms like that can tarnish or taint what these guys have achieved? Because neither of these teams obviously have a lot of high-priced talent, but it's also quite an achievement to make it to the Final Four of a competition like this.
It's just jealousy, Joel. It's just jealousy. You get it from anywhere. Anyone who knows what them owners have done for Manchester City as a club, Manchester City fans, Manchester as a whole, the city, regeneration, schools, hospitals, training facilities, anything that they've done in Manchester, what you wouldn't believe it. So people outside looking in, they can do what they want. You know what I mean? They can throw stones at glass houses all they want. But at the end of the day, it's jealousy. It's all it is. Because you get that person in a pub and ask him, would you love to have 100 million like Man City? Every one of them would say yes. And every one of them. Listen, I've been from the 2nd division in English football, yeah, to the Bernabeu Stadium and back again, up round the block and everything. And I've seen the rough times and I've seen the great times. And these owners have brought so much joy and so much to Manchester City for the loyal fans from back in the day. I know you get a lot of new fans jump on the club because they're successful, but the real Manchester City supporters, the ones that went to the York aways, Macclesfield Town, had to suffer abuse from rival fans about being a fallen giant and all that. We're living the dream because of them Arabs, because they seen something in Manchester City. And I truly believe they saw the loyalty from the fans. I think they saw a club that was in need of a bit of love and a bit of TLC. And I think they saw a fan base that was craving attention. And we got it. And we won the lottery with them guys. So anyone outside of Manchester can say what they want. Anyone in the newspaper can write what they want. But we proved it this year when they tried to slander us in court. We went to court. We behaved impeccably. And we won the case against the biggest corrupt organisation in the world, in UEFA. We beat them, hands down, fair and square. They tried to say we cheated. We proved that we didn't cheat. And at the end of the day, fair play to the Arabs, fair play to Sheikh Mansour. They've created one of the best football teams in the world. They've created one of the best football groups in the world. And at the end of the day, it's all jealousy, Joel. I won't listen to any of it.
Fair enough. So, let's talk about PSG then. Coming up, semifinals, a team just as hungry to claim finally a Champions League title. They've come close. They lost in the final last time around. How do you see this kind of matchup shake down for Man City?
I think it could turn into a shootout. I think it could just be who's going to blow each other away. I think there's going to be no holds barred. And it could just be a shootout between our front three and their front two. And I hope it's not, because my heart will be in my mouth. But I think we beat them. I do, Joel. I think we beat them. I think Bayern Munich would have been an harder game for us. I just think PSG are going to try and shoot us down, and I think it's going to play right into our hands. This is where Pep Guardiola now needs to step it up now, and there's no excuses from him. He needs to. We've got the players, we've got the full squad, and we've got the manager, we've got everything there. And the owners are not going to want to lose this game. Obviously, it's against their countrymen Qataris and so, the lads from Abu Dhabi. It's a bit of rivalry there. So, yeah, it's mouth-watering clash. Can't wait for it.
So one of the things, obviously, like PSG and Man City, as most people would have expected, have quite a bit to play for this season, not only domestically but also in Europe. PSG, for the first time in, I'd say at least probably since Monaco won the Ligue 1 title in 2016-17, are actually like in a fight. There's actually like a challenge for their Ligue 1 title. Whereas like Man City are comfortably in front. They can rotate their squad a little bit. How much does the fact that PSG is trailing Lille at the moment in the Ligue 1 standings, but they're still within range? How much does the fact that there are so many competitions still to play for, and you would think Maurizio Pochettino is going to play his best squad to try to win, because you don't want to show the fans that you're throwing these games. How much does that play into the favor of Man City, just knowing that, well, PSG have got to play their best players to keep pace with a team like Lille in the domestic league?
It can work both ways. I mean, you say, you know, it's good to have rotation, but we rotated against Leeds and got beat. I think rhythm is more important. And I think when you've got a team playing consistently week in, week out, the rhythm can carry you through. If you're winning, you get that winning mentality. You don't want to lose. You run that extra mile because you don't want to lose your place in the team. And you get a rhythm about you, and you go on these runs. You know, we've been on an incredible run this year and won 20-odd games on the bounce. So it can work both ways. It depends on the players' mentality. If the players are thinking, oh, I'm tired and I need a rest, then they've not got that winning mentality. Because I know if I was going for a league title and a Champions League, I want to play every single game. I won't care. I'd be playing every single game. So, I mean, if PSG can get a rhythm, keep the same players going, and they keep scoring, and certain players are on form, that can be dangerous when you're playing a team that's got that rhythm. City start chopping and changing for semi-finals and cups, and certain players coming in and swapping partners and midfield partnerships around, sometimes it can get a little bit disjointed, and it can do more harm than good sometimes.
So Man City has one of the most expensive defensive units in all of Europe. On the opposite side of things, PSG has the most expensive attack. I was breaking down the salaries earlier. Kylian Mbappe and Neymar alone make probably somewhere in the ballpark of over 400 million euros just between the two of them. You talked last time about how impressed you were with Mendy when Mendy was playing with Monaco in those two legs against Manchester City. Another guy who was, I wouldn't say a totally unknown, but he obviously now everybody knows the name Kylian Mbappe. I don't know if as many people knew that name when he was featuring with Monaco as a teenager back in the 2017 round of 16 when they were playing City. When you saw Mbappe play that one time, did you foresee him being the special kind of player and that he is today?
Yeah, 100%. I remember coming out of the stadium at Monaco, and we went into Nice after the game, and we were sat in the pub having a few beers with the boys, and we were all speaking about Mbappe. We were speaking about Bernardo Silva at the time. We were speaking about Mendy and Fabinho, and we were just saying what a good side they are. But yeah, Mbappe, we knew about him, and look at him now. He's awesome, man. He's awesome. He's one of them players like Haaland. Like Haaland could be quiet for 89 minutes and get one chance and it's in. You know what I mean? And that's the same with Mbappe. He just needs one chance, he'd break your heart.
Is there anything different that you've seen with him now featuring and developing into more of a complete player now with PSG that you maybe didn't see in his game with Monaco?
No, his game's all about pace and power. The one thing is he's done it with Monaco and he's doing it with Paris. Now, I'm not being funny. The French league, week in, week out, is not the best in the world. You know, if you want to be noticed and you want to be that elite player, win the league with Paris Saint-Germain, but then move. So come to the Premier League, go to Spain, even Italy. I mean, the French league's just, he needs to move from there. But Paris Saint-Germain's got the money. And it comes a point in your life where it's not about money, it's about ambition. So do you want to go and win things in different countries, or do you want to just stay there, tuck in 30 goals a season and win in the French league? So it's up to you.
And coming from somebody who's got aunts and uncles and relatives all around France in smaller clubs, not in Paris, but in some of the smaller clubs around France who have been in Ligue 1, move is kind of the common term with pretty much every French club, with the exception of PSG, is that the second they get good, I mean, Monaco is the perfect example. They're more notorious with selling their players once they start to develop into like prolific players. It's all about selling rather than buying for Liga, with the exception of PSG, I would say.
Have you ever been to Monaco?
I have never been to Monaco. That is one of the next things on my list to go to. Yeah.
Wow. You would never leave Monaco. If you played in Monaco, I can't see how anyone would ever leave the place. It's unbelievable, mate. One of the best places I've ever been in the world. I've been twice. I went to watch City, and then I actually went back a few months later and took my girlfriend because I couldn't believe how good the place was. But yeah, it's mad, man. But like you say, Mbappe needs to move for me. I think he will do. I think if they lose this year, there's a good chance. There's a lot of big clubs this pre-season coming, who are looking for strikers. So there's a shortage of world-class strikers. There's Harry Kane, Mbappe, and Haaland for me. And maybe Aguero on a free that someone will take a chance on. Other than that, there's not a lot out there who the elite clubs would want. So I think if Paris don't win it this year, then I think he'll be on his way.
This is just a personal note. This is kind of a little bit off topic, but I just wanted to ask you this thing, since you have been to Monaco and you've talked about how fantastic it is over there. You can't see players leaving. Is that all it is? Why players with the caliber of Mbappe, the caliber of Falcao, the caliber of George Weah, Klinsmann, I could probably name 5 or 6 different all-star teams who have featured for Monaco in the past, are like World Cup winners, Champions League winners, just some of the greatest players. Why do they so many leave places like Monaco? Is it just an ambition thing with a different club? Is that all it is?
It's got to be, because Monaco, obviously, you got the tax breaks there, so the players get a nice tax break. You've got the yachts, the super yachts. You've got the Grand Prix, the harbour. You've got
Monte Carlo.
weather.
Yeah.
You've got everything there, man.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. The place is unbelievable. It's beautiful. Every day after training, you drive into the harbour and have a coffee and relax. They're not even like football fans there, so they're not even going to mive you. Like, there's not even going to be any pressure. You could walk around Monaco and no one blink an eyelid. And then you come somewhere like Manchester, it's raining every day, it's snowing, it's these people mithering their life out here because you're a hero. It's just what you want in life. I think Monaco, yeah, you'll have to go. When you go, you'll see. It's like Neverland. It's mad. It's mad, man.
So you mentioned about some of the big strikers. We've talked about how, Man City, yes, their defense has been clinical, absolutely fantastic in the Premier League this season. They've also had to contend with some top strikers. You mentioned Harry Kane. Mohamed Salah is obviously an established, prolific striker. Bruno Fernandes, not a striker, but somebody who can find the back of the net quite a few times. There is Son as well with Tottenham Hotspur. Does the fact that they've had to contend with some of the best strikers in the world help Man City heading into a Champions League where they're going to face some high-profile offensive threats? We've mentioned Mbappe. They've got Neymar. I would even put Moise Kean has been a solid addition on loan from Everton this season. Angel Di Maria. There's a plethora of offensive talent as well. Does the fact that City has been able to handle effectively some of those Premier League strikers help them going into this semi?
Yeah, of course. I think when you're playing elite opposition every week, I think it helps. You look at John Stones, who's playing regular this year, and he's growing in his game. Ruben Diaz has come in, brilliant. And I think as a centre back, I used to play centre back, and you want to play against the best to see if you can do it. And I think yeah, we've got to be again the word control. We've got to be controlled. You've got to watch for Neymar with his little tricks, and he's diving. He does like to dive and moan and whinge, so we're not got to watch so we don't get dragged into that. And then you've got to watch that you don't go too high a line and get caught by Mbappe, because Bayern Munich got caught a few times, touch and go on offsides, and John Stones hasn't got the pace to get back there. So we need to be careful. I mean, maybe Laporte might come into this side for this game with Diaz. I don't know. He's a little bit faster, but I don't know how Pep's going to set it up, but I think Paris Saint-Germain will be more worried about us than what people think.
Mm-hmm. One of the things, both of these teams have had their share of struggles, particularly in the knockout stage in the Champions League in the past. They obviously have both had some very emotional victories to get to this point. Man City, just for like clearing that hurdle finally of the last 8, getting that monkey off their back, has obviously got to be a huge relief, but also a lot of elation for getting beyond that point. PSG have been able to exercise their own share of demons, particularly in the knockout stage. They took up Barcelona, who's been notoriously a thorn in their side. We remember that furious comeback by Barcelona when it looked like PSG was finally going to get over that hump, and then Barcelona blew them out of the water with that flurry of goals. We saw Bayern Munich ruin their dream of winning a Champions League last season. Is there any possibility these teams are on such an emotional high with what they've just gone through in the Champions League? Can we potentially see a bit of an emotional letdown? Because when you're that high, you can't get any higher sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it does happen sometimes in the Champions League. You expect a game's going to go, it's going to be a brilliant game and it can stink the joint out. I just don't know. Both teams have got something to prove. Both teams are hungry. Both owners are going to demand it. Both managers are going to want to do it. I'm excited about it. I'm looking forward to it. The only downside is no supporters there, man. It's breaking my heart. To be honest, I just got a ticket today for the Carabao Cup final next week. They give us 1,700 tickets, and I have quite a lot of loyalty points, so I managed to get one. So I'm really looking forward to just getting back in the stadium and watching, just smelling the grass, man, and watching the team play and live, and just little things that you miss. I can't wait next weekend. I can't wait. So yeah, the potential's there for the game to be a little bit flat, but no, I think it's going to. I think there's going to be fireworks, me, and plenty of goals.
And last question before we switch gears to talk about Man City's upcoming game this weekend. These teams are arguably these two teams, how they match up. It's no secret the kind of talent that's going to be on display. So we could very well see a plethora of goals, a lot of excitement for sure in these two legs. The other thing that these teams have that maybe isn't talked about as much is there's very much sort of a hungriness and a desire and a bit of a desperation to finally get their hands on this Champions League trophy. How much does that play a factor when you have never won it before and we saw what it meant to PSG when they took out Bayern Munich. We saw the reactions from the Mbappes, Neymars, and so on, and how much they cared. We saw the same thing when Foden scored yesterday. How much does that desire and hungriness play into this tie?
Of course, yeah. It's going to come down to who wants it more on the day. It's going to come down to who wants it more. You know, they've got a young, hungry team. We've got a young, hungry team. We've got a great manager. They've got a great manager. So it's literally just going to be who wants it more. You can see PSG on their day turning anyone in the world over. But you can also see Manchester City on our day turning anyone in the world over. So it literally is who turns up on the day. So the players, in my opinion, have got to look at themselves in the mirror and say, do we want this now? We're in touching distance now. Do we want this? Even getting to the final is a massive event in your life, to play in the Champions League final. In 90 minutes, over 2 legs, you're there to get to do it. So, I expect every player to take a look at themselves. And like you say, we've got Phil Foden, we've got De Bruyne, we've got Mahrez, we've got Sterling, we've got. You'll go through the team, and all the boys are going to want to win it. You know what I mean?
And speaking of getting to the final, that's something, it's a perfect segue right there, because Man City is going to try to do that coming up this weekend when they face Chelsea in the semifinal. How do you see this matchup?
Yeah, another tough game. Chelsea, obviously, Thomas Tuchel's come in there. He's changing it up a little bit. They went on a fantastic run. They got back down to earth by West Brom, but they've bounced back. It's the FA Cup, so it's a free hit. I just hope Pep does not overthink it again, and think it's the FA Cup. Let me save some players. You never know. It's the FA Cup. We want to win it. It's a brilliant trophy to win. But we'll see. We'll see. We need to. We just need to get the job done. We've done it before. Manchester City have got a winning mentality. We've won all the trophies before. No one in history of English football has ever done it. Charity Shield, Premier League, FA Cup, League Cup in one season. So we can do it. We know we can do it. So I'm confident. I'm actually going on Robbie from Arsenal TV. He's got his own channel, Don Robbie. He's doing a watch along in London. So I'm off to London tomorrow. I'm going on there representing all the Man City fans out there. So finally we've got somebody who's going to show these London people how it's done. So yeah, I'm going on there Saturday to watch the game with Chelsea fan and Robbie. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, how have obviously Man City seemed to handle Chelsea pretty comfortably early on in the new year when they faced them. This was under Frank Lampard still as manager. How was Chelsea able to turn it around? And in particular, defensively, they've had 13 clean sheets under Thomas Tuchel. How have they been able to change up their defensive scheme, particularly when they usually only play 3 guys at the back?
Well, Tuchel's a good coach. We know that. You know what I mean? You don't coach Borussia Dortmund and Paris Saint-Germain if you're slacking. So he's obviously gone in there with a bit of different ideas than Frank, and it's obviously worked. sometimes a manager comes in with a philosophy and not everyone buys into it and it doesn't work. And I think that's what happened with Frank. I think a lot of the younger players for Frank got what he was about and they played for him. I think a lot of the older senior players didn't really buy into it. And I don't think a lot of them had any respect for him as a coach. I think as a player, you've got to respect him. But as a coach, I don't think some did. So the mood around the club obviously wasn't what it should be. The results weren't what it should be, so they got rid of him. They bring in Tuchel, who we know is a world-class coach, you know what I mean? He has his own philosophy and ideas, and I think it's a breath of fresh air, like blowing through the club. You get that manager energy that comes with him, and obviously you can see that. But he's obviously sharpened up the defence. They've obviously worked on that. The defenders are obviously buying into what he's saying. It's working for him. So that's all it is, I think. I think it's just a case of small changes bring about, big results.
When you bring in a new manager sometimes, particularly when you have managers available, I want to get your opinion on when managers the caliber of Thomas Tuchel, the managers the caliber of Mauricio Pochettino become available. Do you think there are clubs out there that will look at that and want to snag somebody like that, even if their team is doing well under their current manager? Does that exist? Does firings just for the sake of scooping up a big name manager exist in football?
Yeah, well, I think Pellegrini, when he was at City, I think when we decided to let him go, I think he was under contract. But I think they'd waited so long for Guardiola, and I think the time had come, and I think they basically just said, look, our man's are free now. Your end of the season, can you step away, and we're going to get him. And I think that does happen. I think you see it sometimes. Tuchel became available. All of a sudden, Frank Lampard's job's under threat. Bang, he's gone. I think if you're a club owner, you've got to take them opportunities. It's not world class managers don't come along all the time. And if your club needs a change of direction, do you hang on, let the club go even more down, get stale, fan base on your case, and then when you finally do get rid of him, you've got no one to go with? Or do you just sound him out, which I think Chelsea did? They sounded him out and said, look, we might have an opportunity for you here. Would you be interested? And then bang, they got rid of Lampard. He's in within a week, 18-month contract, so it's not a major financial risk. And he's obviously took him up a little bit.
Now, obviously, when you look at a team like Chelsea on a yearly basis, particularly in the summer times, we see them quite often, like Man City, among the busier clubs, usually buying a lot of high-priced talent. They did that again last summer. Who's been the most impressive out of the players that they've bought? Timo Werner, maybe we look at him. We haven't necessarily seen him put the same kind of goal-scoring output that he did at Leipzig. We've got Hakim Ziyech as well. Who's been the most impressive newcomer to Chelsea's team this season?
I don't think any of the big signings have really hit the ground running. Werner, Havertz and Ziyech have not really done anything. I think it's more been the youngsters that are coming through, like Mason Mount, Reece James. I think they've been impressive for Chelsea this season. I think Pulisic has done well. Obviously, he's been there a while now, but he's starting to show up. But yeah, the big signings, Ziyech, Havertz, and Werner have just totally not done it for me. I think whether it's first season syndrome and you've got to give them a season to bed in, sometimes when you sign free players and you know what I mean, like that, they do need a bit of time. But I think the Chelsea fans overall will be very disappointed the way they've played.
Are you surprised that there is no Chelsea striker right now who is in the top of the Premier? Given the price that they paid for some of these guys, is that a surprise knowing that I believe Jorginho is their highest scorer in the Premier League right now with only 6 goals?
Yeah, it's a weird setup. I mean, Chelsea have always had some good strikers, Gianfranco Zola, Didier Drogba. They've had them all in the Premier League era. They've always had good strikers. When they're signing people like Werner and things like that, and they're trying to like I'd play a different way. I don't know if it suits them. You know what I mean? They're very, you look at them players on paper and you think, what a signings. I was worried about Chelsea beginning of the season. I thought they had a great chance of winning the Premier League. I thought they bought really well, but obviously you can buy really well, but they got to turn up. So yeah, I don't think they've turned up.
Is it just sort of the emergence of Thomas Tuchel, somebody notorious for being a very smart, strategic, tactical type coach? Is it just a different mentality that is the reason why they're not getting as many goals from their top end guys?
I don't know if a change of league as well. You've seen it, the Bundesliga. There's loads of players that have signed from the Bundesliga, come to England and never done it. It's a different kettle of fish. It's a different rhythm. It's a different style of play. It's a totally different pace of football. And some players, they absolutely thrive on it, and some don't. I can't put my finger on it. I just can't put my finger on it. But with Chelsea fans, I think they've made a good end of the season from what was a bad start. So they'll be happy with that. And I think if they get a good pre-season under Tuchel and he makes 1 or 2 additions to the squad, which he thinks will help, I think you'll get a different Chelsea next year, and I think some of them players will rise up. They've got to.
Who do you think is the most dangerous threat for Chelsea offensively in the midfield? You talked about Pulisic. We talked about Mason Mount. Who is the one that City needs to key on coming up this weekend?
Yeah, I think you got to look at Mason Mount. He's scoring goals. He's doing assists. He's dangerous. I don't know. I think it's another thing as well. I just think City's got to worry about City. I think we've just got to do what we do right, and I think let Chelsea worry about us. And I think if we do that, we'll win the game. There's not a lot on the Chelsea team where I'm overly worried about it, but some of these teams have a habit of turning up like prime Brazil when they play us. They'll play like Barnsley one week and then Brazil the week after when they play us. So nothing shocks me. You know what I mean? Same with Tottenham in the cup final. I'm nervous because everyone's slagging Tottenham off, saying how bad they are. But Jose Mourinho in a one-off cup final, he's more than capable of doing it.
Yeah, and we've seen time and again these one-offs. You've talked about it a few times. One-offs can sometimes just be a flip in the coin, and you don't show up on the wrong day, and then everything just kind of like goes kaput. And we've seen that. We almost happened with Cheltenham. They were rescued near the very end of that one. So that alone, I feel like, is a reason why we'll see City and Chelsea, I'm sure as well, be very sharp. Hold on. You're sort of freezing on me here. Just give me a second. Looks like you might have frozen on me here, Steve. We're just about getting to the end of this here. I'm not sure if you can. Oh, hold on. You left. We'll just wait for you to get back here and then wrap this up. We're just about finished over here. Let me read some of the comments since I've been kind of like solely focused on just asking Steve a bunch of questions here. See if there's anything of note here to mention with Steve regarding this. We might as well get into Man City taking on Chelsea coming up this weekend. It should be a very interesting matchup. One-offs, like we've talked with Steve before, can be very, very dangerous situations. Manchester City, obviously, all the pressure on them to try to finally get that quadruple here. Where is he? Nope, not yet. Okay. So I'm not sure if Steve's going to be coming back here, but while I am waiting, and hopefully Steve can log back in here and join, I'm assuming he's probably just maybe shutting off his phone, maybe an internet connection sort of thing. I might as well talk about the fact that I am a writer with Manchester News. I'm going to be doing some preview pieces coming up this weekend when it comes to Man City taking on Chelsea. You can view that on manchesternews.com. I also do some writing and talk about Manchester United, excuse me. And Manchester United, obviously, in the middle of a match right now with Granada in a comfortable 2-0 spot. I'm sure Steve is going to be talking about Man City's upcoming semi-final with Chelsea, knowing that there is a spot in the FA Cup final on the line when it comes to that. So, yeah, it should be an interesting few weeks as we get set for more Champions League action, more Premier League action, and so on here. I will also mention that I am starting work as a writer for Sports Mole, a UK website which does preview articles. So you guys can check out all of the great previews, recaps, signings, and things like that. There is Steve. He's back. All right. He froze on me here. Let's bring Steve back in, and then we'll wrap this up. So let's 3-0 Arsenal, Steve. All right.
Sorry, mate.
Steve, no worries, man.
We had a battery issue.
No worries. All right. So we're just about wrapped up here anyways. I wanted to touch on their semifinal with Chelsea coming up on Saturday. One of the things that is sort of similar in style, I feel, with Chelsea and Man City is they're a team that likes to build from the midfield. They're two teams that are keen on having and seeing a lot of the ball. Is there anything City has to do differently in order to maintain a possession game over Chelsea?
No, I don't think so. I think we'll control the game possession wise. I think they'll be trying to get the ball off us. They've got one really good player in N'Golo Kante. I don't know if he's fit, but he's a really good defender. He breaks up the play well, so he's one of the best in the world for that. But no, I don't see it going any other way. I think City will keep possession, and I think we've just got to make that possession count and get the win.
So you touched upon one really high-profile French player who doesn't necessarily get all of the headlines because he does so much of that leg work to win possession. He's a small, humble guy, so he's not necessarily he's never going to be a poster boy sort of for any footballing things, which I think is fine by his. Is he underrated because of that, or is there a better defensive shutdown midfielder in the game than N'Golo Kante when he's healthy?
No, I don't think there is, and I just think he's gone a little bit stale at Chelsea. I just think they don't utilise him enough. But I'd take him at City tomorrow. I think he's a great guy. Obviously, on and off the pitch, he's well liked. I think he's won the league twice with Leicester and Chelsea. So, he knows what it takes. But when he's on form for such a small guy, he's unbelievable.
So from one beloved French player, we're going to go to another beloved French player, particularly in the eyes of Didier Deschamps, who plays him just about every single game that France are involved in, whether it's friendly games and competitive games and so on. And that's Olivier Giroud. I don't know necessarily how does City, who are, with the exception of maybe Ruben Diaz, they're a bit of a smaller, they don't have the same strong hulking presence that they previously had with a guy like Kompany. Who is the best suited to contend with the hulking strength of Olivier Giroud?
Well, we just played against a striker who's bigger than Giroud and who's more powerful than Giroud in Haaland. So I'm not worried about Giroud. He's getting to the tail end of his career. Yeah, he's a good striker, and on his day, he can do the business. But I don't think City are worried about him. I don't honestly think. I think any of our partnerships at the back, Stones, Laporte, Diaz, even Nathan Ake, if we need be, I think can deal with him.
How many changes? We saw 7 changes to the Man City lineup when they faced Leeds United. Clearly a tactical move to rest some of the important guys for the upcoming tie. Clearly Guardiola was looking ahead, in my opinion, when it comes to that. How many changes do you expect to see for the FA Cup semi-final this weekend? Do we see the best team knowing it's Chelsea, knowing what's at stake? Or does he consider the fact that some of the big players who were playing against Dortmund might get a rest? How does he How do you see the lineup shaking down?
Well, I hope Aguero is fit. I hope Aguero's fit. I'd start him. I think Raheem Sterling will start. I think that Fernandinho will start. I think Benjamin Mendy will start. I think Nathan Ake may start. And I think Zach Steffen will start in net. And that's there with the changes for me.
All right. How do you see this game going? Do you have a score prediction for this weekend?
I think City will win 2-1.
All right. We'll see if that comes through. Steve, that's everything I have for this time. What do you guys have going on with the Big Six podcast this week?
Yeah, we've got the Big Six podcast tomorrow, 10 p.m. UK time on Turkish's channel. And then if you tune into Don Robbie of AFTV, he's doing a live watch-along, Manchester City v Chelsea. I'm going down to London tomorrow. I'm going to be appearing on that. So if you want to see a Man City fan watching the match, getting all up and down and nervous and jumping around and maybe singing a few songs, get watching that.
And if you guys enjoy these Instagram lives, feel free to comment. I'm going to put this up on my YouTube channel in a little bit here. I've got with Manchester News, I've got the Manchester United game, which is going on right now in between them and Granada to recap when that wraps up. And I'm going to be starting this week, actually. I've just started doing some writing for a UK website called Sports Mole. So you can keep track of that. I'll post some of my articles. This week I talked about Major League Soccer, the upcoming regular season coming up for them. Steve, do you follow any like New York FC or anything that's going on in Major League Soccer, given that Citigroup owns that team? Are you in tune only with Man City or some of the affiliate clubs that Citigroup owns as well?
No, I do follow the clubs. I do watch New York when they're on, but I have some friends. I have a business partner who lives in LA and he supports LAFC. Mm-hmm. So I have a clothing brand that I have an interest in, and we are out there at the minute. And the LAFC fans have really embraced it. So I've got a soft spot for LAFC at the minute, and their ultras. We've helped them with some fundraising for people that have had fell on hard times. And I think that the LAFC fans are the closest thing you're going to get to the English fans at the minute. They're embracing the casual culture. They're wearing the same clothing that the English wear, and they've got something good going on there. And when this COVID is all over with, that is the first destination I'm going to go. I'm going to get myself to LA, and I'm going to experience the Major League Soccer with them guys.
Well, if you ever get a few extra days, you're always welcome to come over here. I'm here at the Pacific Coast. It's the same timeline. It's the North Hollywood, as we call it over here in around Vancouver area. So feel free to pop by here. You're always welcome.
Brilliant, mate. Yeah, we'll do a US tour.
There you go.
US
All right.
and Canada.
Perfect. Steve, thanks so much for your time. We'll talk again soon.
No problem. See you soon, mate.
Cheers.
Bye-bye. Bye, mate. Bye.